Good morning, everyone. So happy to be joining you today. I am joined in the studio with one of the extraordinary guests who joined me in the Thriving Life Summit. If you have not yet had the opportunity to meet Dr. Ali Lankerani, I am happy to make this introduction, and you're going to get to know so much more about his work and his vision inside the summit. So we hope you are planning to join us. There's a link in the description, and we'll make sure that's in the comments as well. But let me introduce and welcome my guest, Dr. L. Thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Susie, for having me here. It's always a blessing to see you a second time.
I know we're having so much fun this week. Well, and I'm really enjoying that we can come and give a little preview of what's in store, knowing where we were able to go with our conversation when I interviewed you. And as is always the case, and this is what I've learned in my podcast, you can have an idea and a framework, but when the conversation naturally evolves, it takes us to the most rich places. And so I know that people are going to really love this conversation. And so your focus now in the programs that you create and the way in which you work with families and helping parents is an evolution from where you began with your practice. So I'd love to let people know a bit about how you came to fill this need that you're seeing in families today.
Absolutely. And this is a really good question. Actually, after our conversation, I'm like, that was a really good conversation. I hope I can get a recording of that so I could hear myself
I'll talk to
talking
people.
more. But yeah, just like you said, it is an evolution. And this is something that I wanted all of our audience members to really listen to, because in life, we often set goals and we strive to achieve those goals. And the reality is that in the process of achieving your goals, you grow, you evolve, you become a different person. So by the time you reach your goals, you realize that that's not enough, that you're ready for the next thing. There's literally something called post goal mortem, which is the fact that you reach a goal, you reach a destination, and you realize that the process, the journey, tended to be more fun in hindsight than the actual achievement of the goal. Now, I'm no different. When I was in private practice, I was helping parents, I was helping children, and I could see the transformation. And my model was to help as many as I could. But really, it got to a point where I was trading my time and trying to make it more efficient and trying to make it so that I could reach out to more people. But eventually, we all have a limitation on time and how many people we can see in a given amount of time. So I realized that my potential for helping people would be capped at a certain rate, and I couldn't reach out to any more people. So I had to redesign my model so that I could not only be not bound geographically, but also with time as far as how many people I could help. And that journey has taken me over the past 11 years now, to where I am today, where I'm helping people around the world, indirectly and directly. And it's a blessing to know that people's lives are being affected even while I sleep. So it's a great feeling to have that.
I love that you brought that up because impact is something that is really important to me too. When I made this pivot 5 years ago to bring my focus to this, to bring the conversation to how we can have so much impact in our health and maintaining and restoring our health before we reach these crisis situations. And the more that I explore and look at the power of connection, the more I realize that when we take this initiative, we're not just helping ourselves and helping our families and empowering our kids to be
Right.
better educated as they move forward and take more authority in their own well-being, but we impact our communities. One of the things that stands out to me from the field of positive psychology is that happiness has 3 degrees of impact. When we are happy, we don't only help to elevate the positivity of the people we connect with, but agree to be on them and agree a degree beyond them. And so that's just an illustration of how this network, this weaving of impact is really powerful. And I'm so excited to see the results of your work and the mission that you have for it. I know other people in the space who work with families who you're sharing your platform, your stage with, so they can bring their expertise. And I think this is so exciting to see the depth and breadth of the work that you're creating.
Absolutely. I mean, based on my background, I always tended to focus on the brain and having an approach from a top down and from an inside out approach. And of course, initially it was just me with the patient. Then it became me and therapist to the patient. Then I'm like, all right, well, I realized that a lot of times if you can actually get the person that is involved, that's on the receiving end of it, to understand, have a better understanding of how their body works and how to support their body, then they can actually go ahead and reach for the right support that they need. So then my focus became on the educational part of it and teaching them. Then I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be just my information that needs to be taught. It could be anybody's, right? So in the process, we started having many different people having this top down approach so that they had these butterfly effect in the world. And it is very nice to see that.
Beautiful. And I'd like to give a little bit of a sneak peek, a preview into our conversation about how you define wealth, because this was really an eye opener to me. And I know it is a concept that I'm excited to integrate and to dive more deeply into. So can you give us a little idea? It's so much more than meets the eye.
Okay. So how much do you want me to say? Because I don't want to spill the beans here and tell them all the juicy bits. But I will mention this, that most of us define wealth by how society defines wealth. And that leads to a lot of unhappiness because many of us have different values than just the monetary and the financial aspect of what is important. And also, for every single human being, regardless of how much money you have, how much wealth, as is traditionally defined, you have, if you are not utilizing it as it pertains to your life and impacting other people's lives, there's a sense of fulfillment that ends up being left out. So it is very important for us to have that understanding that, first of all, what is wealth used for in the first place? There are people that might have millions and millions of dollars, billions in the account. But if you're not doing anything with it, then it's not impacting your life. It's not really impacting anybody else's life. So, what is truly the value of that wealth? So that's the first part of it. And the second part is that now that you understand that, how do you obtain the wealth? And of course, we have the different criteria for that. One of them, yes, indeed, is the finances and the actual numbers. But then there are other factors there, some of which are irreplaceable. And no, I don't actually put health in part of the wealth category. I think it deserves its own category. So I think you need to have your health, but then equally important is there's different components of wealth that you need to have. And of course, we talked about facts, knowledge, skills, connections, time. There is the affluence and your lifestyle. All of those things need to be incorporated and be included in wealth and how you assess it. Did I say too much there, Susie?
No, I think we've only just scratched the surface. I mean, you and I know there's so much more to it. And I love that connection is one of the secret ingredients in your formula and looking at how we can utilize it. And it makes me think of, a lot of practitioners use a wheel of life balance, the 8 aspects of balance tool. And it just illustrates that, if we don't have different aspects supported, we get very lopsided. We're not going to go very far very quickly. So it
Right.
definitely helps us get into that healthy momentum, move into that right space that we deserve to occupy, that is our birthright, to be happy, to be abundant, and to use all the resources that we have available. So you're going to love the conversation. We'd get to dive deeply into that. And Dr. L has shared some amazing gifts as well for people who join us in the summit. So be sure to join us. It's free to sign up and register. We kick off the week of November 30th and run through that Saturday. And so it's going to be a terrific opportunity to really get to know some different practitioners from different modalities. And here's one other thing that really has landed with me. A lot of the most powerful tools and insights come back to some very simple or basic building blocks. Simple is not always easy, but if we can keep it simple, we know where we can get started. So there's some great things coming in store. I'm so excited to share. And Dr. L, I'm so glad that you made the time to be a part of it. Is there anything else you want to leave people with today as they start their day and head into the week?
Absolutely. Since we are starting our day, this is important for everybody to know. We all have a long to do list, lots of responsibilities, right? And one of the things that is detrimental is for you to understand that you can step into your day with confidence. So, as you look at that long to do list, pick the one thing that is the most important thing that needs to get done and make sure it gets done, because what you don't finish robs you of your confidence. So we want to make sure that we step into our day with confidence, getting the most important thing out of the way, and reach out for support and connect as much as you can so that that gets done as well. So that's all, Susie.
Ooh, I love that. I love that on a lot of levels. Really empowering. I think that when we look at the things that we can take action on, it helps to build our confidence. And that's the kind of momentum that is beautiful to move into, to see what else we can impact in our lives. And you don't even know it yet, but that's a beautiful tie-in to a conversation that I had also in the summit with Robin Keene, who is the master of looking at how those open loops, those things that we promise we'll do and don't, can actually hold us back. So
Absolutely.
it's
Yep.
it's
It's all
amazing,
it's
just like
all
I said.
connected.
It's all connected. The beauty of having great minds together. Thank you, Dr. L, for making time. That's a terrific way to start the day. I hope everybody will take a moment to get centered, connect to your breath, and take a look at the one thing that you can move forward in your day and start off strong. Thanks for starting with us. We're so happy to see you and sending you big love.
Cheers, guys.
Take care.